Do you feel any way in particular different from other times?
Probably in a more reflective mood than I would normally have been.
For the last stage, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Now, for today's program, we spoke to Dr. Nigel Clarke. Now, Dr. Clarke spoke to me on Tuesday, just hours before he stepped down as Jamaica's finance minister and as a member of parliament for Northwest St. Andrew. Minister, thank you so much. We appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you for having me, Dion. This is my final interview in the capacity of Minister of Finance and Public Service and Member of Parliament.
How does it feel to say that?
I am in execution phase. When you're in execution phase, you're not thinking. It's like somebody running a 100-meter sprint. You're not thinking, how does it feel to lift your knees up? No, you've been practicing to lift your knees up all season, and now is it time to lift your knees up, so you lift them up. So I made a decision to move in a particular direction, and this is just execution.
Well, we asked members of the public what they thought of your tenure. You're afraid to see it?
No. I mean, look, I know the public can be harsh. I've been around long enough to know that, I've done my best, and the rest is up to everybody else.
Well, let's take a look.
He did an outstanding job as far as I can see. He led the country through a financial crisis in terms of COVID. And, that's why I guess why the IMF hired him, I guess. So he did a good job.
He has done an excellent job for Jamaican economy.
From what I've seen so far, I think he's done a brilliant job in terms of giving back and balancing the economy.
So I think he has done an exceptional job. When you look at all that he has done, especially with even the fact that this tax credit that they are now proposing, a lot of young persons who is working like myself can get a one-time payment of 20,000. I think that is recommendable.
What do you think watching that?
Well, Dion, you pour your heart and your soul into this, and you try to have an impact. And it's not all the time that, that it's not a linear process, as the Prime Minister says. Not all the time that that people receive it positively. So I'm just humbled by that reaction, and feel a sense of that there is some recognition for what I've tried to do. So that is very meaningful. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Well, I was watching your statement in Parliament earlier this afternoon, and I want to just play a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Economic stability is not anyone's enemy. It is the friend of every noble social and economic objective that you want to sustain over time. But keeping it, Mr. Speaker, is not an inevitability. As much success as we have had, the path ahead does not allow for policy error because Jamaica's finances are so rigid and tight. And so, Mr. Speaker, it can be maintained by the choices that we make.
I was struck watching that by how you seemed a little less confident than usual. You looked as if you were choosing your words very, very carefully and perhaps thinking as you went. And that also sounded like a warning. Now, the feeling has been that you've been a finance minister who has been very conservative fiscally, wanting to ensure that, we don't spend what we don't have, really keeping your hands on the wheel. Are you concerned as to what might happen when you leave?
No, I just have a tremendous amount of respect for the challenges of that role. And, it is much harder than it may have seemed over the past couple of years. And, one really has to have the outcome that one wants in mind and then solve for that outcome. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve that outcome.
Break that down for us.
Meaning, we have been able to have, this is the 7th fiscal year where Jamaica has been able to achieve its sort of fiscal targets, apart from the COVID year when we obviously were outside of it. We've had 6 years of balanced budgets, the 7th being the COVID year, where, as I said, the point I'm making is that there's so many ways that things can go off track. It's very easy, very, very easy, and with the best of intentions. And so, it's something to approach with the thing that I've tried to say that in my speeches over time. There's no such thing as automatic. There's no such thing as inevitable. It really depends on the policy choices that are made, and policy choices that look on today and tomorrow. And Jamaica is going to have to continue to be have its priorities very clear, and make tough choices if we are to be able to maintain the stability that has given us this employment, but then use it to achieve the other goals that we want to achieve. It's just not easy. So there's a lot of the last thing I'd want to do is to give an impression that, we've achieved economic stability, we can relax now, everything is cool. Not at all. Not at all.
We're also going into an election campaign, a time when traditionally spending increases, and we've certainly seen that in the past. Concerns?
Look, the history of Jamaican politics has been such that election campaigns feature sort of fiscal largesse. That has been our history. One would hope that can be contained within boundaries that are sustainable. That is the important point, right? The boundaries that are sustainable. Jamaica has earned a lot of respect around the world and I'll tell you why that's important, for doing what it says it's going to do. That has given us a lot of credibility, and that credibility has made it easier for us to finance what we want to do in Jamaica, has made that financing cost less, has opened doors of cooperation for us, has brought, so many people want to invest in the country and want to partner with Jamaica. That's something we want to make sure that we keep. So in the political competition where you're competing to bring different solutions and options to the Jamaican people, it's just important that it's done in a way that is sustainable and it does not deviate from the medium-term policy goal of 60% by 27-28. We are so close. By March of 25, we are on target to be at about 68%. That's just 8 points away. We're coming from 145. Coming from 145 to 68.
Hold that thought, because I do want to follow up on that, but I'm at the break. Let's take the break. We come back with Dr. Nigel Clarke in just a moment.